Yeah, welcome everyone. This is the part one of our town hall. So we'll have one now, we'll have one tomorrow, and then Wednesday as well. All of you obviously are here and are welcome to come to the other ones and check them out. Um, and yeah, we have five projects as we just discussed, and super excited to get involved in each one and really go in depth with each project. So honestly, the format is really like try to keep it like short, like 5 minutes for presentations, like 5 to 6 minutes. We'll be super flexible. That's what happens when we're allowed to have like smaller groups like this. So yeah, and then like maybe 6, 7 minutes for feedback, right? And we generally always go over. Feel free if like you have something to do to like hop out, or we have the chat as well. You can say bye in there. But yeah, let's get started. I guess after presentations, I'll just do some community updates in terms of grants and whatnot. But yeah, this is it. I'm ready and excited. Patrick, do you want to take it away?
Yes, let me see this. Okay, can you see my screen now? Does it
Perfect.
work?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Then I just start now. So, hi everyone, I'm Patrick, and I have the idea of, let's call like the working title, a traffic AI. Quickly to myself, I just handed in my thesis at the Technical University of Munich, and I was dealing with computer vision and multi-object tracking and trajectory prediction. And now, yeah, I want to use kind of like the things that I did during my research now to do something that, or basically turning this into more like a product and actually do good things with it. So, what is the idea? So, in general, at least in Germany, but I guess in all European cities, also the US, actually worldwide, cities aim to be more bicycle and pedestrian friendly in order to get kind of like the cars out of the city. The problem still is that nowadays you actually still have a lot of deaths, like within the cyclists and pedestrians. So in Germany, approximately, we have like a thousand casualties or 800 casualties a year still, and that's actually quite a large portion. So cycling and walking is still dangerous, and the question is, can we somehow improve these numbers? And the problem, I talked to the city of Munich, and basically what they said is that they have now a junction, or in general, some traffic situation, and there are happenings, but there are a lot of like almost accidents, but these are not reported. So you have a lot of like almost accidents, and then eventually someone dies or a very heavy accident happens, and this is actually when the police is only called. And after 1 year, they get the police report, and then it says 3 people died here. And this is then for them the reason in order to do measures and change something in this junction. But as we can see, actually this takes a long time, and it needs someone, let's say, to die or to get heavily injured in order to make changes. Now, how can an AI improve? The idea is that we first record the scene, and we also then provide this kind of like platform that analyzes the traffic. And we will also capture now these almost accidents and can already kind of like put out an alert. And this alert will basically make the decision makers to introduce the measures and change things, and they can much faster iterate through this process of adjusting and making basically specific scenes more safe. So what would be the solution? It's in the end this analysis platform on the one hand side that provides information to the city planners, but under the hood where basically AI comes is to build this detection and tracking stack. Eventually, in the future, we can even think when we have a lot of data, we can use then again the neural networks in order to simulate and even predict the best improvements based on the data of the outline. But this is just kind of like really an outlook once we have a lot of data and understand actually how pedestrians, cyclists, and cars interact. Yeah, so basically here I'm very at the beginning and only thinking about this project. So this is actually some open source, like some YouTube a live cam somewhere in the US. So kind of like this would be the input stream, that you have a camera at high or higher altitude that you can see basically the entire junction, and then you start first tracking the objects, and with these tracks you can run the analysis. So for example, you get like heat maps, but also you want to identify kind of like the critical scenarios that you then will provide in this dashboard for the city planners. Yes, so this kind of like, for an overview, will be the idea that on the one hand side, I have to kind of like build on the AI side this tracking stack that is basically specialized on pedestrians, cyclists, cars, and also being able to detect these critical scenarios, but also on the other hand, build this platform, the product that then the city planners can use. And ideally, once we have collected a lot of data, we can start training the generative or prediction methods in order to also run simulations, but this really in the future outlook. Yes, that's actually everything for the project.
Awesome. Thanks. Does anyone have any feedback or questions?
Sorry, I have a question, if it's possible.
Yes, sure.
Like, how will you get the images from the city? So, for example, the streets and stuff like that.
Yes. So here, they either have mounted cameras, so fixed cameras, that they're already in place. For example, that eventually they have some cameras already on traffic lights or in general street lights. But especially in Germany, they don't really have this a lot because they're very concerned with like data privacy, what I also think is actually an important topic. They will hire firms that basically do temporary monitoring. So they will pull out a pile or like a pile, and then will record for a couple of days. But it's something stationary that you can also remove then. But this, I mean, I either do it myself, but probably you will have another firm that basically does the filming or provide the data. And the assumption is basically that, let's say you record for a couple of days, this is enough that you kind of like capture more or less the behavior on this junction. But the benefit is that you will detect these kind of like difficulties and these almost accidents. But luckily, out of all scenarios, some of them are almost accidents, and only really a very small percentage actually turn out to be a very fatal, lethal accident. But you will be able to detect kind of like these almost accidents, and you can treat them as real accidents. Because in the end, you want to prevent all of them, because you don't really know, I mean, which one then will turn to be kind of like a real accident.
I see. And I have a more like a step forward of improvement of what would be the future of that kind of tool to me, because a little background of myself. I'm working in Luxembourg in the fintech, and the hot topic right now in Luxembourg is really ESG, so environment, social governance. And basically banks, insurance, investment funds, etc., the state itself failed to gather some data to basically assess this ESG factor. And a tool like that, if you are able to reproduce basically the map of a city in 3D with real-time flows of cars, etc., you will first prevent some accidents, which I think is very good, but you will also be able to count the number of cars driving by road. You will be able to recognize them. So saying like, for example, okay, here is a Ferrari, and then put a footprint on it. And you'll be able to say, for example, in that street, at that time, for example, 8 in the morning, when there was a lot of traffic, it was like, I don't know, like 1,000 car. Out of that, 500 were electric. So you will be able to really like put like footprints on the city's emission, and you can even go like even another step forward and basically be able to scan the, the buildings and be able also to recognize the building and say, okay, this one is, I don't know, like energetically, it will like produce more energy than another one, etc., etc. And I think if you are able to gather these images of the city, these real-time images, you can do a lot of stuff with the data, actually.
I think so. That's actually for identifying the cars. I think that's definitely a use case that you can implement. Because I mean, already if you have a detector, you know whether it's like a van, SUV, bus, truck.
Exactly.
To understand what is an electric car or not might be that you might have to know the models, but there I'm not sure, because I mean it's not so obvious. Like for the classes that exist now in this vision data sets, I think it's hard to distinguish. I don't know even if a human knows what is an electric car and what is a normal car.
What if you put like a database,
yeah,
and then you put like images of cars of different models, for example, Tesla model 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, and then you classify on the Wikipedia.
That's then like first you do the detection, then you get the raw, then you basically crop out the car and then try to match it in their database. I mean, that's definitely, I guess probably it's possible. It's just way more compute, but yeah, if this is needed, it's definitely possible. And actually also quite cool, because then you really have live, I mean, you will not have a camera at every junction, but you can still get some information if you have a couple of spots in the city to get kind of like an estimate what is kind of the distribution.
You just need to around the spot that has like high traffic.
But how are the rules in Luxembourg? I mean, I just know from Germany, they're very strict with these camera access and camera provision. But maybe other European or international, countries that are less strict with this and they're less concerned about data privacy, that you might be able to do that.
I have no idea exactly, but I know that, for example, I'm working in partnership with the university, and they are able to have like satellite images every day. So I guess it's possible. Like the sensitivity of the data, it's not important if you are able to do something good for the state. You know, I don't know if you understand what I mean. So if you talk to the state and show them that your dashboard and your project is useful and will help them, you will have your data.
No, that's true.
I'm gonna wrap it up right there, if you guys don't mind. I thought that was great, awesome. Hopefully you guys can connect and like hash this out. Thank you, Patrick, for presenting. Great stuff. I actually even have thoughts. I'll be reaching out. I just want to go to the next one. Thank you so much again. Cool. So, Drew, I believe you are next, presenting us, I believe, turning smart contract code into natural language.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome.
Just go ahead and share my screen.
Cool.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yep. We see Gather Town right now. Yep. There we go.
Okay. So, we are from Smart Contracts of FII. So what Smart Contract of FII is really is a set of tools that allow users to understand a smart contract code in their natural language. And it has a bunch of tools like for creating contracts and auditing. More on it later. First of all, a little bit about me. Myself, Dhruv, and I have been developer in the free space for over a year, and I have been developing old projects, and this is my next one. So let's go over the problem first. Why have we developed Smart Contract of FII? So we realized that people, non-techies, the people who don't know about tech much, can't understand the complex for a smart contract before using it. which is already open source, but because they don't know Solidity, they can't understand what's happening in the contract. And maybe there might be some shady work going on under the hood. And we have come across several scams upon the years where there have been multiple cases like this. The second issue, smart contract auditing and security is a very hectic process for majority of developers in smart in this space, and it's a long process and even costly. So therefore, we came up with a tool. Why not use and AI to do the thing? Smart contract is a collection. F.FI is a collection of tools powered by GPT-3, a tool from OpenAI, and it offers all these features. First of all, it will help you to understand your smart contract in simple coding language, like in simple summarized language. I will show you the demo straight away. Then it can audit your contract and find errors in your code. Then it can also create new smart contract. Or if you give it a task, like you want to create a contract for a token, for example, so it will do that for you. And in the last, not the least, it will create a flow of the smart contract code which you have right now. So let me go ahead and give you a demo. We have a basic functionality demo right now available. So I will be going ahead and use that. So this is the website which we created for demo purposes. And I will go ahead and paste your contract code right here and hit on generate. So what happening in the backend is that we are calling OpenAI, and that's getting us output directly from OpenAI, and then APIs gives us a response and we display it here. So as you can see, this contract came down to these three languages. So this is a Solidity smart contract for a piggy bank. User can deposit funds into the wallet, owner can withdraw the amount, and the contract is restored after withdrawal. So you can see how easy to understand it was, this whole code in just 3 simple lines. And here is where the magic happens, is because of AI. AI powered by OpenAI is the tool which we are using in the backend to power all these services. And we will be coming up with other features as soon as we move ahead. We will be using the grant for hosting our websites and majorly purchasing OpenAI credits, because it costs us a lot to run these services, and we pay basically in the backend with our credits to be able to fetch the results from OpenAI. So, and this is our deliverables for grant. So we'll be creating this particular website and with all these features. One of them is live right now, and other will be coming up soon ahead. And by the way, in my team, I myself, Dhruv Agarwal, I'm a DD member, and I have my teammate Archit Sharma with me. And Archit works on the front-end development part, and I work on the back-end development. Thank you for watching our tutorial.
Awesome.
Any questions, any feedback?
Yeah. I actually do. So I'm thinking, so I recently just got into smart contract development. I basically created my first, deployed my first contract, right? And it was, I was simply really just following directions. And this would have been like super helpful had I like paste the contract code in there so I can like fully, deeply understand. However, 5-year-old level understanding isn't like super valuable, at least for me as a user. If I were to come here to use this, I wonder if I just think it would be cool if there's different levels of understanding. Because I would definitely benefit from perhaps like the college level understanding or the high school level understanding. Yeah, I guess that's all. I think this would be like super useful. Honestly, I'm like a generalist. For any generalist to be able to take a look or explore a particular area within smart contract code. And again, it's just a way to better understand what's actually going on. And yeah, I think you nailed it. But that's just what I was thinking.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the feedback. And we did think of this thing. So the thing is that we came up with the idea when we thought that will my mom will be able to understand the Aave contract or the Uniswap contract when she is trying to use the website, right? That's why we came up with the idea that let's just open it for all people who don't know the tech part much. Will be able to understand the contract within just 3 lines of code or 4 lines of code. But yeah, we can going ahead. We can for sure add the college level understand and other level understanding. So you will be able to get the whole breakdown of the contract, what's happening in the backend, and like that's why we have the flow. So you will be able to get the flow of the contract, like what's happening after what thing. So that's what we are planning to do. But yeah, those are the features we will look ahead when we develop the platform product.
Nice.
I just had sort of one question as well.
Yeah.
So, how are you thinking about sort of progressing this forward? As do you think it's going to be more in the direction of like an ed tech tool where you're using this as a way to like educate people how to learn about smart contracts, or are you thinking more of like a developer tool where smart contract developers come in to kind of check what their contract is doing is correct? Or is it a mix of those? I'm just kind of curious on like the direction you're going to take this project. Or maybe you don't know yet. I'm just sort of curious.
Yeah. So we did think of this thing, and like we came up with a thing that we will be tending more towards developer tooling, like creating smart contracts, auditing your smart contracts, finding vulnerabilities. But yeah, the major part of our project will be the understanding part. So anybody can just go ahead. So you can say it's a mix of both things. So like it's 50% our understanding part, and the other part is for the developer tooling. We can maybe separate the both websites. Like the first one can be for just for people for ed tech part. They can just come and understand the contracts, and the other part could be about the developer tooling. So we will think about this thing. But yeah, right now we have thought of four, five main ideas, 4, 5 main pain points. Like we thought, like if you want to create a contract in just a second, so that will you will be able to do that with our help. Or you want to find vulnerabilities. So that can be done. So yeah, our trend is more toward developer tooling.
Yeah, so like my one thought there is that I think one of the big problems that we're going to face in the future is that the actual literacy of smart contracts. So it's great that you can have smart contracts and it executes as it is, but not a lot of people actually have the skills to understand what happens in a smart contract. So I think actually verifying the logics in a smart contract for everyday people is going to be a massive thing. And so even if you focus on that particular aspect, I think it's going to be solving a massive problem. Like even sort of the developer tool aside. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where you're going to take this as well.
Thanks for the feedback. Yeah, for sure. A major focus is on the understanding contract. So thanks for the feedback.
Another really cool thing that I was just thinking there is that like when you're signing something with MetaMask, often you don't know what you're signing, right? So it'd be really cool to have some sort of description about that, which is kind of related. So yeah, I can see so many use cases for this.
For sure. Feedback. We are working on the feedback, so thanks for the feedback. We'll be trying and researching on it. Maybe we will implement that thing.
Sweet. Any other questions? Awesome. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. It's not about the project, but I thought the Arc, I guess you're using Arc browser. It was like the first time I've seen it. Yeah. It looks really cool. It looks like Discord for like as a browser.
Yeah. So it has a really good tab management. That's why I'm using it. A lot of cool features, anyway.
I might try it out. I just Googled it. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, next we have Alexander. Alexander, are you here? Yes, you are. Okay, yep. Awesome. Sweet. Take it away. I believe it's AI browser. Yeah?
Yep.
Awesome.
Let me set up. Yep.
Oh, in browser AI. Yeah, go ahead, take it away.
Yep. Yeah, almost. So, hi everyone, my name is Alex, and today I want to present my project which I'm working on, and it is called In Browser AI. So, what it is? I came up with this project while working on a full stack deep learning course where I was developing the essentially site where you could run models in the browser, but after working on it and getting a lot of valuable feedback, I understood that there is more than just a project in that. So there is a lot of value that you can get from running all sorts of models in the browser. So I started working on the library to enable everyone to run these state-of-the-art models in the browser. So how it will look like in them. So there are three main components here. So the first one is ONNX runtime, which is the library for running all sorts of neural networks in different environments. So you can take your model from, say, PyTorch or TensorFlow, and you can convert it to ONNX and run it either on server or in browser, like in my case. The second crucial component is Hugging Face, and Hugging Face is the leading startup in AI. And what they have a huge hub for different models, and they have infrastructure around it, and they basically built this thing. Sorry. Yeah, so they built this library for running transformer models in Python primarily. And what I want to do, I want to leverage this library with all the configuration files and all the execution logic to make it easier for bringing new models to the browser. And obviously, like TypeScript is something that you need to use if you want to have like properly functioning JavaScript. So why we need this kind of thing? So first off, as I described in the proposal, you obviously do not need any sort of server or API if you are running your models direct in browser. So it is much easier to scale your project or application, and it is easier to deploy, so you don't depend on anything else. It will be much easier to use than existing libraries because, as you can see on this screenshot, so basically this is the concept how it will look like in the end. So you would just like create model, one line of code, and you get your result in the second line of code. That's it. And integration with Hugging Face will allow to bring tons of all kinds of models to the to users, like text models, image models, or even audio processing models. And one of the most important aspects is privacy and security. So users' data never leaves the device, and because of that, there are less ways how it can be compromised. So I'm not sure if I have time, but I have a functioning demo. So if I can.
Please.
Yeah. So as I said, I started the project while working on the website. So currently you can see here how it can actually look like in the browser. So this is the segmentation model. So it basically, what it does, it segments the original image into parts. And you can see that, for example, the model, which runs completely in browser, so there are no like API calls or whatever. So it correctly classifies like this is a van, this is a car, this is tree, this is like building. And the very same model can do a lot of different things. So it can find like sky, walls, and this is like a bit funny one because it classifies this part of the house as a building and this part of house as a house, which is a bit strange decision of people who developed the model to split into two different classes of building and house. But anyway, yeah. So that's it.
Awesome. Any feedback or questions? Anyone?
Yeah, just one. I think this is a cool project. Just one question, because some of these models can be like really huge. Does it download the model and cache it locally?
Yeah. So it downloads all these models, and yeah, obviously many of these models are very huge. So because of that, in my work, I target smaller models, which are like less than, say, 100 megabytes in size. So this is my primary, primary like goal and primary type of libraries to work with.
Nice, wonderful. Yeah, I just hope like, you can actually have like a Dream Booth training on your browser.
Yeah.
So
So
that would be like really cool.
yeah, it might be possible to run inference in browser, but training is much more complex process. So I do not like even like planning in nearest future to work on training, but yeah, I think that running these kinds of models will be possible at some point.
Looking forward.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other feedback or questions? Sweet.
This is really great as well. Like just like Hugging Face is awesome, right? But like having all of the models on a single centralized server, has its disadvantages as well. So I think having more nodes in a network serving models, I think is probably a good thing, even outside of privacy of data and security. I think it's like it's better from a decentralization point of view as well. So it really like fits with what we're trying to build here at Algovera. So yeah, really excited about this project.
Thank you.
Sweet. All right. We have next is Upper M. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but they're making a open database of AI tools. Are you here? I think you are.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, saying it correctly. Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Take it away.
So yeah, I'm trying to build AI database, which will be the open database with existing AI tools, apps, text generators, and machine learning models, whatever you can imagine. Next slide, please. Yeah, so exactly what I said. The AI database would be open Airtable database, where I will be tagging each tool with according tags and descriptions. Also, I picked Airtable because you can create a form and you can so to keep the database current. The form will be shared among the users so they can add new tools. And someone in the comments on the forum also said it would be nice to have a DAO around it to decide which tool should be added. Next slide, please. Yeah, so why do we need such a tool? Because creating something without a purpose doesn't really make sense. I think it is very important because AI is like booming recently, and it's really hard to follow all new tools that they are entering the market. So also it will be helpful for identifying new markets because you can see where we don't have enough tools, for example, or apps. Also, it will be cool for exploring existing tools and use them while creating your own project. Side note, I'm also a founder of community for Web3 developers, so I know such a database would be super useful for them from like builders' point of view. And also it would be cool to grasp the current state of the art while doing a research, I was really amazed how many tools we have already. So the next slide, please. Why did I pick Airtable? So honestly, I think it's the best tool to keep the data current. Keeping everything in Notion, it's really a bit hard to update. And also creating what I mentioned before, creating a form view to add new tools would be the best. And also from this database, you can create very easily APIs, so people could be using that database and added it on their websites or whatever. And you can see here's like very drafty how it would look like. So the name of the tool, a website. Then we have a category. This one is text to video. Would be also other categories in that the same tags. Text to audio and whatever you can imagine. I would need to add some agenda and to actually be a bit descriptive. And you can find the URL to that website, and also in the last column, the description, what this specific project does. The next slide, please. Yeah, and that's how the form would look like. So the people could be adding new tools, and yeah, if you want to I wanted to create a link. So let me share that in the chat. If you want to just click and see how it would be like, how it would feel to go to such a database, you can click in the URL. I think this site, maybe you know it, but it's also like amazing tool. I was not aware of it. And yeah, on the last slide, you can find my contact. If you want to ask after the presentation more questions, I'm available on the Discord usually, but Telegram is fine. And yeah, that would be it. Do you have any questions?
This is great. I think stuff like this is super useful. Like just from my own Twitter, what I'm starting to see is that there's just so much for people to keep up with, different AI tools coming out. And so starting to see like a lot of like just Twitter accounts like with weekly recaps about like what happened in AI this week and what tools were launched. And so yeah, I think something like this is really useful. I would use it for sure.
Cool.
I think we've actually been looking into a lot of the different AI tools that are available as well. Like maybe I know Hitesh has like a good graphic of a lot of the different tools that are out there for different different areas and stuff. So maybe we can like chat offline and share some of the stuff that we have with you.
Cool, amazing. Good luck. Hey, thank you guys. If you don't have any questions, thanks for your attention. I will be here in the meeting.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot. It was great, straightforward, clear, like it was awesome. Cool. So I think this is gonna be our last one. It is Jenga, which I believe you're here, which is I believe GPT-3 for DAO governance. Am I right? Okay, Jenga's here. Your mic is open.
Mic check, mic check.
There we go.
Now you can hear me.
Hey, excited for this project you got going on.
Awesome. So let me begin. Quick TLDR. The proposal in one sentence is to, assuming you can see my screen. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, is to develop a DAO GPT, maybe a chatbot or some sort of interface that assists governors and professional delegates in DAOs to build and summarize proposals. Now, maybe a bit more context here to just set the tone. What are DAOs? DAOs are a form of trustware. What I mean is that in normal situations where we work in organizations, we produce charters, constitutions, or contracts. This is a form of social trust that we establish. But with smart contracts, now we can embed this social trust into smart contracts and then use these smart contracts to establish a new type of organization based on this concept that these guys call trustware. Now, quick TLDR is that if we are able to convert our socialware to trustware, then we are able to increasingly coordinate as human beings in a more trust-efficient manner. But how do we do that, right? To do that, we need governance. And governance is something that has a surface area that affects a lot of people. However, essentially what we want to find out is who can make decisions and how these decisions are made. So who can make decisions on what is socialware going to trustware, what is going in the smart contract, and how are these decisions being made. And if we make these decisions correctly, we are able to make organizations that in real time generate revenue, as you can see from some of these dApps that generate revenue, as you know, Uniswap, Lido, GNX, all of these DeFi apps make revenue. So if you make good trustware, smart contracts, with good governance, we are able to produce profitable organizations. Now, in many organizations, this process looks something like this, where there is a process that it goes through many different stakeholders, and these stakeholders have their opinions. And then once the final opinion has been taken into place, it's like a final proposal that's implemented to change the system of the smart contract, or in this case, like the parameters of the smart contract. This is the governance proposal for synthetics, which is again a DeFi DAO, as well as a set of smart contracts, which is like an implementation of trustware, as we saw earlier. Now, we do something similar at DAO Stewards. We help these organizations take many of these governance decisions, and we have, for example, proposals. These are some of the examples that we have in the past. This is in SafeDAO, Gnosis-Scale. This is in Bankless DAO. This one is in Euler, which we basically recently posted. And many of these, we need to collect a lot of information on what people think and what people say based on their votes. And this is a lot of subjective data. But then we do occur like 23, in some cases, even higher amounts of replies to our original proposals. And then there is a lot of back and forth that happens before something is going to snapshot on chain. So yeah, the challenge is that this process is quite hard. The talent required to generate these proposals is also quite niche. And then maybe ChatGPT can help. And I have been working with a group called DAO Stewards to make these governance proposals and generally steward governance in the greater DAO space. And I'm looking to collaborate with you all to make some sort of a POC app, which can help governors and professional delegates to govern the space in a better way, in a more efficient manner.
Sweet. I'm assuming that was it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, awesome. Right. I knew I was on it. But yeah, cool. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Feedback?
yeah, I think it's super interesting. Also, I think we as the community are also starting to recognize the complexity of information that we're starting to produce is much higher than sort of one individual can process. Even like sort of looking at the amount of applicants now we have for this round, it's going to be increasingly harder and harder to kind of go through every proposal and weigh up everything. So I think the governance in our case would be sort of which team to vote for to allocate funding as a community. So this could also be, I think, a very much a community tool to help synthesize information better as well. I don't know, like if you have sort of a set agenda on like where you want to take the DAO ChatGPT in which direction, but in general, I think sort of synthesizing information, like sort of this vast amount of information, is a super interesting niche in terms of like DAO governance that will be super helpful for a bunch of communities that are exploring the DAO space. Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting proposal, and also happy to do a pilot or proof of concept here at Algovera if that's something we'd be interested in. We're very much interested in how we can make organizations perform better, make communities be more efficient and so on. So happy to trial this out as well when you have a mature enough proof of concept.
There's another like really interesting project. I was just watching a video recently. I think it's called like DAO. It's like a Web3 project, but they're using it's called like logical AI. So what their argument is that like governance is just like a really cumbersome process. And so like just writing up some sort of proposal or like going and doing a vote, they're just like there's a lot of friction to them. And so what they're trying to do is I think like use logical AI to kind of like based on what people talk about or like write about themselves, this logical AI kind of analyzes all of that, looks for like similarities between what people want, differences, and then kind of like starts to automate the governance process without actually going to like governance proposals and votes and stuff like that. And so yeah, like that's one approach, that's one type of AI that they're using to kind of start to automate governance. But I think like the use of foundation models and like ChatGPT and stuff is another really interesting one. What you could imagine is that like, and this is way out now, but like this would be super cool, is if everyone has their own personalized ChatGPT assistant, and that assistant, can like act on your behalf, and maybe it interacts with like all of the other personalized assistants in a community, and based on all these kind of simulations of discussion and things like that, maybe then it like raises some sort of governance proposal based on all of these interactions and simulations. So yeah, I think like it's really endless where this could end up. It's probably one of the areas that I'm most passionate about in terms of like AI and Web3, which is like just governance itself. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about this project.
Yeah, yeah, I would really enjoy like having that that functionality and that ability in Developer DAO. It is absolutely insane the amount of discussion that happens, and yeah, I can just see Richard, your idea, and obviously Jenga, your project idea can like totally help. I think like in so many cases. I think it's evident, but yeah. Any other feedback, questions, comments? Sweet. Well, I have most certainly had a blast. We're literally coming up on the hour. This was a lot of fun. I guess I can, if nobody has any like closing thoughts, I can give a little community update. Right now, today begins the voting phase, the voting period, right? So we'll have from today to the 23rd, inclusive of the 23rd, to vote. And yeah, I'll make an announcement as well on Discord. So tomorrow we will have presentations again. along with Wednesday. Tomorrow will be 5 p.m. UTC if you'd like to come, and then Wednesday is 6 p.m. UTC. About the same amount of projects too, so we'll be able to go in depth in the way we did today. And that's pretty much it. Any closing thoughts, Richard or Hitesh or anyone?
No, I was just going to say it would be great if anyone found this interesting to join day 2 and day 3 as well, and like hear some more interesting project ideas.
Yeah,
I could listen to new project ideas all day, so I'm looking forward to them.
Yeah, this has been great. Looking forward to the next one.
Sweet. All right, everyone. I guess that's it. Hopefully, I see you all tomorrow.
Bye bye.
Peace.